AI says no. Imagine your employment as an autistic person being stonewalled by artificial intelligence. Hello, friends of AI for Autism. In this episode, we're taking a look at the following piece featured on the BBC News website: Job hunting for neurodivergent people. AI recruitment means I've got zero chance. Facial analysis technology is sometimes used in recruitment, but autistic people and those with other types of neurodivergence say it can be biased against them. Have you ever applied for a job and found that before you get offered an interview with a real person, you have to answer pre-recorded questions into a webcam? Automated recruitment software isn't new. It's been in use for around the last decade, but its prevalence appeared to grow sharply over the pandemic. It's designed to help firms process job applicants more easily and to test people's suitability for the job before they encounter a human. But as new BBC Three documentary Computer Says No explores, automated and algorithm-based recruitment technology can unfairly disadvantage candidates who don't fit the profile it's been programmed to accept, particularly those with neurodiversity. It's quite discriminatory against people like me, says Ollie, 24, who is autistic and has ADHD, and has been rejected from several jobs after doing video interviews. Ollie is fed up with doing video interviews. He finds it hard to maintain eye contact for long periods and has to pause while speaking to focus on what he wants to say. It goes on your eye contact and gaps in your speech, he says. If the computer sees my eyes moving, it denotes that as someone who's not interested and can't focus and can't engage in conversation for long periods of time. Sometimes I have to slow down and refocus. I feel like I've got zero chance of succeeding. When he's talking to another person, Ollie says he finds it much easier to keep the flow of a conversation going. I struggle with not having somebody else there for me to hear the intonation of their voice and know where to go, or when to stop explaining something, he says. It's very difficult to show your true self and true skills that you believe you have because you're within the state of overthinking. Am I saying too much? Then there'll be a break in your speech, and as soon as there's something the computer doesn't like, that's that. It can be programmed to be inclusive. Data released last month by the Office for National Statistics found that autistic people, those with specific learning disabilities or mental health issues, had the lowest employment rates. The National Autistic Society said its own research suggested that less than a third of autistic adults were employed, but over 3/4 of unemployed autistics wanted to work. While there are several factors behind what the charity calls the autism employment gap, Ollie and others feel that recruitment processes that don't allow for diversity in speech and mannerisms are a particular barrier. You're right there, Ollie. Nat Hawley, head of community at Exceptional Individuals, an organisation providing advice to both neurodiverse job seekers and organisations on their hiring process, says the technology could be made more inclusive. I'm not against AI. Some neurodiverse people prefer an automated interview, says Nat. But we need to make sure we're not using these things before they're fully formed. I would advise that companies think about how they're using AI and what the software recognize. The people behind them can train them to be inclusive. Exactly. I'll share our comments on that later. One recruitment software company, Arctic Shores, claimed to have removed these unconscious biases in recruitment software by giving candidates interactive tasks that test for personality traits necessary for the job. The candidate scores are then compared to people who are successful in the same roles. Facial analysis is not used, and candidates are also given the option to request additional assistance. If someone feels they have something that will inhibit them taking this type of assessment, they must let us know and we can advise them, says Robert Nuri, co-founder of Arctic Shores, in the documentary. If you're on the neurodiverse spectrum, we can make an adjustment behind the scenes. But Ollie is reticent about the burden being on him to make things fairer. When asked if he's done what Nuri suggests and contacted recruiters directly to ask for adjustments, he says, no, I haven't directly contacted people and asked to have interviews arranged face-to-face, because why should that burden be upon me? Why am I the one who should have to reach out when it's their process that are incorrect? A US-based recruitment company, HireVue, removed facial analysis function from all new assessments in early 2020 after several people raised concerns. HireVue said its technology did not lead to bias, but CEO Kevin Parker admitted it wasn't worth the concerns after complaints. In June 2020, 3 women who worked for the makeup brand MAC had to reapply for their jobs after being furloughed, and MAC's parent company, Estee Lauder, used HireVue in the process. Despite being high-performing staff members, the women were not rehired and questioned the role that HireVue's technology had played in their redundancy, and they began legal proceedings. And all 3 women reached an agreement out of court with Estee Lauder. So that's the piece, but what are your thoughts on this? I mean, as they say, the AI can be tweaked. I mean, the way we see it is a matter of how it's been designed. If the AI has been poorly designed, then of course it's going to come out with horrible results. Maybe in this case intelligence is, as in the case of Team America, bad intelligence. So these software definitely need a lot of improving before they can be used for the purpose of recruiting individuals for different companies, especially if they happen to be neurodiverse. Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on this? Do comment below, share your thoughts. And remember, love, life, and good AI.